today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this per tweet from International Boxing News. WBO welterweight title next. Sandy Ryan will fight for the vacant WBO welterweight title on April 1st or the 22nd. Sandy is ranked WBO number 3 with Layla McCarter at number 1 and Ivana Habazin at number 2 and Marie-Pierre Houle at number 4. With Habazin fighting Jessica McCaskill, will we see Ryan versus Houle or Ryan versus McCarter?
I thought Sandy might end up fighting for the IBF title because the IBF title is registered as being vacant.
Apparently, the WBO title is registered as vacant as well, and it's up for grabs. Now, one of these fights, Ryan versus McCarter or Ryan versus Houle, one of these fights is a bit more interesting and a bit more difficult than the other.
That's the Marie-Pierre Houle fight. Unbeaten up-and-comer, hard-punching Marie-Pierre Houle from Canada.
It's a tough fight.
It's either she's going to fight Marie or she's going to fight Layla. When it comes to Layla McCarter, one of the pioneers of the sport.
Layla McCarter sports a professional record of 45 wins, 13 losses with 5 draws, 11 knockouts, having never been knocked out.
In 63 fights.
63 fucking fights, Jesus Christ. Layla McCarter debuted as a professional over 20 years ago, approximately 25, in 1998.
Been around a very long time.
Her career got off to a rocky start, and I mean rocky. She lost 4 of her first 6 fights as a professional, 4 of the first 6.
Reason enough at that time to have given it up. At that time, there were far less opportunities for a woman boxer than there are here today. But Layla McCarter, she was persistent.
She didn't give up. Not only did she rebound off of those losses, but she went on to become one of the most formidable fighters the sport has ever seen, having shared the ring with the likes of Chevelle Hallback and Mary Jo Saunders.
Solid fighters. These were somebodies at the time.
Puerto Rico's own Melissa Hernandez, a prime prime Jelena Marjanovic, more than once.
Cindy Serrano, the sister of Amanda Serrano.
Layla McCarter has been there and done that with some of the best and brightest fighters the sport has ever seen the last couple of years. Currently, she's coming off of a 23 fight winning streak.
The woman hasn't lost a fight in 16 years. 16 years, that's well over a decade. Close to 2.
Majority decision loss to Puerto Rico's own Melissa Hernandez, and Layla did eventually end up avenging that loss. Her and Melissa fought more than once.
Currently, Layla McCarter's not as active as she used to be. She sat out all of 2021, returned to action just once in 2022 opposite the ring Helena de los Santos.
That was in March of last year. That's the only fight that Layla McCarter has had in the last 2 years. Layla's 43 years old.
And that's the trade-off. That's the caveat, that while Layla is vastly more experienced than Sandy Ryan, Layla's long in the tooth. She's seen a lot of winners.
Layla's got a lot more pro fights than Sandy Ryan. Layla's got something like 63 fights under her belt, whereas Sandy only has 6.
Layla's approximately 14 years older than Sandy Ryan and a lot less active than Sandy Ryan.
Previous years, when Cecilia Brækhus was still this division's undisputed champion, I believe Layla McCarter became a mandatory challenger by way of the IBF, but the fight never materialized. Layla never got that title shot. It seems a new opportunity has opened up years later, and she may end up fighting Sandy for the WBO title. I don't like her chances.
Not at this age.
There was a time when Layla McCarter was one of the most formidable fighters you could have come across, but that time has passed.
Yeah, Sandy beats her. Even if she doesn't stop her, she beats her on points.
The Marie-Pierre Houle fight is a more intriguing fight, a more interesting fight for my money than the McCarter fight, because Marie-Pierre Houle is in a very similar place in her career to Sandy, sporting a professional record of 8 wins with no losses, 1 draw, 2 knockouts. She's a hard puncher.
Harder puncher than she seems. All I noticed, she ain't got that many knockouts, but you've got to watch the fights. You've got to see how fighters react to Marie-Pierre Houle's shots.
She can punch. She's got 1 or 2 more fights than Sandy does, and she is 1 or 2 years older than Sandy, but nowhere near as old as Layla McCarter. Layla, I'm sorry to say, I think her best days are behind her.
Sandy Ryan versus Marie-Pierre Houle, for my money, is a better, more intriguing fight than a McCarter fight.
Marie-Pierre Houle, who had a very busy 2022. She fought 3 times last year, and she's already fought once in January, already fought once this year. No ring rust to shake off, no cobwebs.
She's one of Yvonne Michel's fighters up there in Canada. Yvonne Michel, Jim, a well-to-do promotional outfit based out of Canada that has featured some familiar faces.
Fighters like Kim Clavel, Marie-Eve Dicaire, Artur Beterbiev whenever he is fighting in Canada.
Yvonne Michel is helming promotion for the upcoming John Pascal versus Michael Eifert fight. That light heavyweight contest, IBF final eliminator.
In a matter of weeks, that's set to go down in Canada. Marie-Pierre Houle is one of Yvonne Michel's fighters.
The question is, does Marie-Pierre Houle want to shoot for this title shot now, or does she want to wait? Does she want to develop a little bit further? Because the woman ain't even got 10 pro fights.
Marie-Pierre Houle versus Sandy Ryan is a better fight than Layla McCarter versus Sandy Ryan, but Marie-Pierre Houle ain't scratching and sniffing. She's got a well-to-do promoter behind her.
So let's see which one of these two fighters Sandy ends up fighting.
Good afternoon, y'all. It's a great Sunday. I'm just gonna come out and just let everybody know. Me and BLK Prime have decided to part ways. There's no bad blood. They just couldn't deliver, everything that I needed, at this point in my career, right now, I'm in tip-top shape. I got myself in shape. I dropped all my vices. I'm not clubbing. I'm not drinking. I'm ready to fight. So, hit me up, man. Hit me up. Hey, be a free agent, man. Let's do this. Like I said, man, I'm ready to fight today. Anybody can get it. The Can Man is back.
And just like that, Adrian Broner's partnership with the good people over there at Black Prime ended before it even started, before he even got to make his debut. 3 separate opponents.
3 separate fights fell through for Adrian Broner.
Things happen in the sport of boxing, extenuating circumstances, and it's not unusual for one opponent to fall through, so you substitute him with another. But 3 separate opponents.
Red Catch, Lundy, Williams.
It really makes you wonder if someone isn't attempting to sabotage Adrian Broner now that he has parted ways with Al Haymon and his PBC. He now claims to be a free agent, and I hardly think he's going to end up crawling back to Al Haymon.
Irrespective of Black Prime and what they could or couldn't do, what they could or couldn't make happen for Adrian, his tenure at the PBC the last couple of years, before he even went into that.
Before he left and paired up with Black Prime, Adrian Broner was not a happy camper, constantly complaining about his money woes and demanding that Al Haymon give him the rest of his money.
Because apparently Al pays these guys in increments. He's essentially giving them an allowance.
And he's doing this with their own money. He's paying them their own money, in increments, in installments.
The last thing I expect is for Adrian to go back to the PBC. No, if I had to guess.
It was actually Bates the Kid, fellow content creator and friend of the channel, who suggested well over a week ago, before anybody, that Adrian...
Now that another fight has fallen through for him over there at Black Prime, maybe he decides to take up Eddie Hearn on his offer, his previous offers to come over and box Conor Benn.
Some time ago, Eddie Hearn made 2 separate offers to Adrian Broner, multi-million-dollar offers, to come over from the PBC over to the Matchroom and DAZN side of things to box Conor Benn. 2 separate offers. He turned them both down.
Some time passes, things happen. He leaves the PBC. He jumps into bed with Black Prime. That don't work out.
So you want to get paid. And you don't want to get paid peanuts. And you don't want to get paid in installments or increments either. Your best bet to get a multi-million-dollar price at this point, given where you are, is over there on the Matchroom side of things as a rebound fight for Conor Benn.
He's coming off a long layoff. So are you.
Conor Benn, you may be younger and fresher than you are now, but you're more experienced. You're a former 4-division champion. You've fought better fighters than he's fought so far. You've fought better fighters than he is right now. So while he might be younger and fresher, he's also greener.
I think that's Adrian Broner's best bet to make a multi-million-dollar purse within the near future without having to go back to the PBC, who I don't think have all that much to offer him anyway, not money-wise.
There's talk of Conor Benn's very next fight happening abroad, outside of his native United Kingdom. He may end up fighting in the UAE as part of Matchroom's Champion Series in that region of the world.
In an effort to promote tourism, they're bringing big-time boxing to that region.
Because of Conor Benn's ongoing situation with the BBBOC and the lawsuit he's got levied against them for damages, what they costed him and what he would have made from the Chris Eubank Jr. fight, till all of that gets sorted out, Conor Benn's going to be fighting abroad, and in all likelihood, he's going to fight in the UAE. If Adrian wants to make some money, he should join him.
Stated fellow content creator here in the YTBC, Bates the Kid, he's anticipating that this will be Adrian Broner's next fight, and it's not outside the realm of possibility.
It's not as lofty Not as comfortable a situation for Adrian having a boxer, young up-and-comer like a Conor Benn. I mean, Ivan Redkach, Hank Lundy, and that Williams kid. Those would have all been safer fights for Adrian, who is on the bounce. Those would have all been safer fights for Adrian than a Conor Benn fight would be.
But how many other people are in a hurry to give Adrian Broner a seven-figure price of any kind?
How many? How many promoters are beating down his door to sign him and, put some money in his pocket at this point in his career? How many?
Conor Benn has been out a while. So have you.
It's not like he's Subriel Matias or somebody. It's not like he's Regis Pregarius. Conor Benn is somewhat greener than those fighters are. Those fighters are champions, whereas Conor Benn, he's still at contender level.
Adrian's got to be flexible. He doesn't have all that many options given what he wants to make for a fight.
Being honest, he by himself isn't the draw that he used to be some years ago. He needs a dance partner, an interesting one, interesting enough to warrant a decent-sized purse. Essentially, he's going to have to work for his money to some degree.
What the hell else is he going to do?
Go back to Al Heyman, go back to the PBC, go back to getting his own money in increments, go back to getting an allowance.
What the hell else is he going to do?
He's got to be flexible. I don't think he has that much of a choice.
Why do you think the fans are okay with Canelo fighting John Ryder and Berlanga, but every time David's name comes up, it's always something?
That's what you say. Maybe you're okay with it, but other Mexicans are not okay with it.
Oh, they're not? Then why does Canelo outsell your son? Hey, if the Mexicans aren't okay with Canelo versus John Ryder, what makes you think they're okay with your son versus David Lemieux?
John Ryder is a higher-rated, more proven super middleweight than David Lemieux, and that's the only guy you fought last year.
They're not okay with it because who's interested of seeing Canelo Alvarez with John Ryder?
Who do you think is interested in seeing your son fight the guys that he's been fighting?
Romer Angulo, Kyron Davis, Ronald Ellis, David Lemieux. Who was asking for those fights?
Canelo's fighting a top 10, a top 5 super middleweight coming off a hand surgery.
What's your son doing besides reheating Canelo's dinner from 2021?
His leftovers.
I'm not interested.
Not me.
Thank God they're doing it in Mexico because they're not going to buy no pay-per-views.
Right.
So they'll take anything over there.
Way to endear yourself to the Mexican fans south of the border, claiming they'll take anything over there. They'll take whatever they can get.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Is this how you mean to endear your American-born, half-Ecuadorian son to those good people south of the border, those Mexican fans? Is this how you mean to endear yourself to them, by looking down on them?
You think somebody, if it was in Vegas, you think somebody, Vegas would be, the ticket would be like $20,000, $15,000. You think somebody in Mexico for ringside is going to pay that?
Mm-mm.
Do you think you're going to endear yourself to the Mexican fight fans south of the border and make your son the face of Mexican boxing by looking down on their fans in their financial situation?
Is this guy fucking stupid or something?
Yes, and he talks too much.
So, see, that's why he's taking it back to Mexico. Because you see, now I seen an article, the new sheriff in town is the Mexican monster in Las Vegas.
Right.
Sold out almost all the tickets and the rooms and all that. He did not do that with Caleb Plant.
According to Caleb Plant, he did. According to Caleb Plant, actually, me and Canelo did sell out the MGM, and it was one of the highest grossing events ever. 18 million at the gate. I can't say I'm the main reason, but I'm definitely the reason we did more than any of his other opponents. Dude lies about everything.
Now, do you think that David Benavidez is going to generate 18 million at the gate fighting the same guy that Canelo fought?
If it's the way that this clown, Benavidez Sr, says it is, that there's a new sheriff in town.
Oh, really?
Is the new sheriff going to generate 18 million at the gate the same way Canelo did when he fought Caleb Plant? Is the new sheriff in town going to generate 800,000 pay-per-view buys on this same platform, fighting the same guy that Canelo fought? Is he?
Because if he isn't, then you need to pipe down.
He did not do that with the other fighters that he fought, you know? So that's what I'm saying, you know? So that's why.
It's too easy to shoot holes. And this guy's bullshit, Benavidez Sr.
It's too fucking easy.
Because he don't know how to close his mouth. On one end, you say that you've no aspirations of getting Canelo Alvarez in the ring. He's done fighting elite-level fighters, and you have other fighters on your own side of the street that you intend on fighting, fighters like Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, David Morrell.
And we'll see if you mean business.
You can't attack Canelo Alvarez for who he's fighting when the guy he's fighting this year, to kick off this year, is better than the guy you fought last year. The only guy you fought last year, David Lemieux. John Ryder is, in fact, a higher-rated, more proven super middleweight than David Lemieux. So if you're going to trash Canelo for fighting that guy,
You ought to be trashed twice as much for fighting David Lemieux, because he's worse.
Many times over. John Ryder beat Danny Jacobs, and he beat unbeaten Zach Parker to become the WBO's interim champion. For what fucking reason?
What, you think your son fighting David Lemieux is somehow better?
It's not. And Canelo's coming off a hand surgery. That's a part of the reason why he's taken his foot off the gas ahead of what could be a Dimitri Bivol rematch. That's why he's fighting John Ryder, at least a part of it, on top of John being his mandatory challenger.
But if nothing else, this guy's coming off a hand surgery. That's his excuse. What's yours?
Yeah, he is taking his foot off the gas a bit. I think we all have to admit that, but he's coming off a hand surgery. Why is your son...
Why did he fight David Lemieux?
I know what you're gonna tell me. You're gonna tell me it's because that was his mandatory challenger. And what the fuck do you think John Ryder is to Canelo?
Bozo.
Why is it that these guys seem to think that the rules that apply to Canelo don't apply to them when Canelo is more proven than they are?
Bozo.
The division your son has been campaigning in for a fucking eon. Canelo unified it in 11 months. What the hell was your son doing?
Bozo.
With promotion like this, who needs enemies? David Benavidez' own father forces the fans to take a good long look at David's career and put it in a harsh light because you're in no position to talk. You're just now getting around to fighting Caleb Plant. Canelo knocked him out over a year ago.
What do you think? You're like, you think you're doing something special?
Venturing where no boxer has ever gone before? Are you fucking kidding me?
Should have took care of this guy a long time ago.
And I'm telling you, the way you're talking, as much talking as you're doing, you better fucking beat this guy. You fucking better knock him out, and you better sell.
Because there's a new sheriff in town.
New sheriff, new fucking sheriff. Let's see if you can sell 800,000 pay-per-view buys fighting the same guy that Canelo fought. Let's see if you can generate 18 million at the gate fighting the same guy that Canelo fought. Because if there's a new sheriff in town...
Hey, let's see your son break the indoor attendance record in America, because he's the new sheriff, ain't he?
New sheriff. The guy spends the majority of his career pouncing on overmatched opponents.
No, he's the new sheriff.
Whatever you say, hotshot.